things. So
I think what's incredible though, Pramath, through this whole process is I feel like everybody, at least most people that I'm speaking to or hearing about, they're just showing the most positive, most resilient, the most fighting aspects of their characters, that no matter what, all of us are going to tide through this time and everything is going to be fine.
yeah. No, I think it's important that people kind of realize that.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's been also great weather. It's quite interesting to see Delhi being so cool, and we are in May.
Yes, with so much rain. I don't think it does. I mean, there aren't as many showers in this time of the year, right? Usually it comes in later in the year and not as much for sure.
Yeah, because sometime in June you start getting pre-monsoon showers.
Right.
Well, you do get thunderstorms occasionally in the summer, but it's not really summer. So it's a strange time.
We don't really know what. Yeah, it's strange naturally. It's strange for other reasons. I think we have some participants and some attendees trickling in slowly. I think we can start in about a minute.
Yes, of course. How are you keeping yourself busy?
Well, Harappa's keeping me busy, Pramath. There is quite a lot to be done. I think our webinars are a fascinating new property that we're very interested in expanding and trying to make the most of the situation. What about you? What's keeping you busy?
Oh, nothing at all.
I think we can start now.
All right.
Yes. Okay, good afternoon, everybody who has joined us on this second Sunday of Career Counseling Sundays with Pramath. As you may have heard us talk about, it's a fairly beautiful day here in Delhi, and we hope that you're staying safe, that you're staying home and secure during this lockdown. I am Shuha Gangopadhyay. I work in the curriculum team as a specialist. I work on building courses and have been with Harappa for about a year and a half now, which doesn't seem that long, but it's actually, I was one of the earlier ones to join the company. And it's incredible how much we have managed to grow, how much ground we have managed to cover in a very short span of time. And before this, I worked with student engagement and in academic administration in Ashoka University. But enough about me. Let's talk about the man of the hour, the main person of this show, Pramath Sinha. Good afternoon, Pramath.
Hi, Shuha. How are you?
Hi. Thank you for joining us here again to address a few more questions that our attendees, that our audience, that friends of Harappa may have. For those of you who may not know who Pramath is, Pramath Sinha is one of the pioneering education leaders of this country. He has been instrumental in setting up ISB, which he in fact was the founding dean for ISB. He's also a founder for Ashoka University, and he's also started various fellowship programs across the country for covering MBA programs for women, to entrepreneurship, to design, to many more to come, I'm sure, in the future. So thank you, Pramath. Any quick thoughts that you want to share with us this afternoon before we move ahead?
No, I'm happy to be here again, Shuha. This is our second in the edition. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Yes, that's great. So, okay, quickly, let me just take you through what the agenda of this afternoon is going to be. Right. So I'm just going to quickly tell everybody who's joining us today about what the rules of engagement for this episode is going to be. Then we'll quickly move into our live career counseling sessions, and then we'll have a dedicated Q&A segment for our audience. So for those of you who had joined us last week as well, there's been a change in the format. We've done away with our short takes, and we're only going to be doing deep dive counseling, just so that we can have a more meaningful interaction. Not we, but the candidates who are joining us will have a little more meaningful and interaction with Pramath. So quickly, if we can have the slide on rules and engagement. Thank you. So our live career counseling is fairly straightforward. We have about 4 to 5 candidates today in today's episode, and each of them is going to be given 5 minutes, at the end of which we are going to sound a buzzer and switch off the candidate's mic and camera, and we will quickly move on to the next person. Why we really want this to be as time bound as possible is to ensure that we get through as many questions and address as many concerns as dilemmas as we possibly can. Once our live counseling segment is done, we will quickly move on to our audience Q&A segment. We also have a selection process for those who do come on and ask Pramath their questions. So we usually float a survey form to our networks far and wide. Those who do respond, we contact them. We have a quick chat with them, trying to understand who they are, what their concerns are, where they come from, where they want to go, more importantly. And we screen them. Those who give their consent to being live on the video for this episode, for their interaction with Pramath, they are the ones who are selected eventually. And as we mentioned earlier, every single participant has a specific allotted period of time for them, which is not open to negotiation. Just one quick thing though. I know many of you are in that position in your career right now in this lockdown, where there is a lot of anxiety, where you do have questions and you want everything to be addressed as quickly as possible. But I urge you to kindly please have respect for the other people who are also joining us on this show. And let's all just be on our best behavior. And we will also perhaps be taking questions as and when we go. So please make sure that you send in your questions through the question answer box and the chat box. Just give me Yes, so without further ado, let's quickly move on to our first deep dive counseling. Can we have our candidate slides, please? Yeah, so our first candidate for today is Tarang Sharma. She's had 1 year of work experience in the field of marketing and communication. She's completed her postgraduate program in management from the Vedika Scholars Program. Hi, Tarang, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Hello, sir.
Hello,
sir. It's really nice to meet you. And hi, Shima. Okay, so I did. So I did my postgraduate program in management from Vedika Scholars Program and was placed on campus. But because of COVID, I only had the opportunity to work for 3 months before my layoff. Now most of the jobs that I'm encountering do not match up to my recent profile, or if they do, either they require much greater experience, or the companies are not well established at all and have low credibility and are paying unacceptably low salaries. So my question is that while there is an understanding that we need to compromise on our salary expectations, but should we compromise on our role as well? Should I wait this time out and prepare myself for the right opportunities? Or should I instead prioritize finding a job, a source of income as soon as possible? Because at the same time, I do not want my recent job experience and my qualifications as a Vedika scholar to go to waste.
Sure. Tarang, I'm sorry to hear that you're in a tough spot, obviously, with the current situation and having lost the job. But first thing I'll say is it'll be fine. It always is. You have to work through the next few months, and I'm sure the Vedika programs, career office, and all of us would be happy to help you. Uh, you obviously laid it out. You have to balance all of those things. Uh, to me, your financial sustainability is very important. And that at a time like this is front and foremost. So only you know best, and how much, how long you can last with what any savings you have, or getting support from family and so on. So I think that's number one. Number two, I would say that yes, while flexibility is important and everybody should be prepared that you will need to perhaps settle for something that doesn't pay you as well. The truth is that you don't have to necessarily uh, sell out in terms of the salary or the compensation. You should wait against a couple of other things that I'm going to come to. Obviously, you want to make money, but you would rather settle sometimes for a lower paying opportunity because it's a better opportunity as opportunities go, and those are the trade-offs that you should be okay to make at a time like this. I think the third thing that's important is that if on the financial side you are a little bit flexible or have some leeway, then I would try to make try to get the best possible opportunity under the circumstances, and maybe offer even a deal to people where you really would like to work, or in an area that you really would like to get some experience, and in the extreme case offer your services for free and say, listen, if this is a place where aspirationally I would love to go, then could you work there for the next 3 months as an intern, and take a small paycheck or nothing at all, and of course continue to look for a job in the meantime. So I think you have to balance all three, right? The amount of money you need to manage yourself financially and be sustainable. What kind of therefore haircut or salary cut or minimum compensation are you comfortable with? And finally, what should you compromise on when it comes to job role or industry or the quality of the company or the role that you're working on? Now, I know this is very conceptual, but let me give you an example, right? Suppose there's a company or there's a organization that you really want to work in, but they are not looking to hire somebody. I would approach them and say, listen, because of the situation I'm in, you have a great deal. You can have me as an intern for the next 90 days with very little cost. You don't have to hire me. You don't have to hire me permanently. And what is in it for me is that I actually get some valuable experience working with you. You would not make that offer to every and any company. Right? You would only make that offer to people who you aspirationally would like to work with. And similarly, if you're working with some of these startups or with some of these companies that have low credibility or are not very well known, I would be careful to pick somewhere where you are gaining some real experience, where that experience will be valuable. By definition, startups you can't predict, right? You don't know the owners, you don't know the state of the startup, you don't know the industry they are in. So you are taking a risk, but you're taking the risk because there is some real value that is coming out of it for you. So I think this is the time to look for value, if you will, value for money deals. And I'm sorry to apply an expression like that to jobs and your career, but that's the mindset. That are there value for money opportunities, and can I offer myself as a value for money option to work with some people? I would rather work with some good people and trade off the money than to keep waiting for the money. I think it's important to be not sitting around, and that's very important. Sometimes, if you were just switching jobs, you could say, listen, I'm going to give myself 6 months, or I'm going to give myself a year. I think here I would suggest not to do that. I would suggest to get to something quickly and dig your teeth in, because you in this atmosphere and having just lost your job and also that you've been just working for a few months, the lack of a job for a long time or even for 3 months will make you very unsettled. So I would try to get to something quickly and get your teeth in, even if it's not the ideal, with the hope that something ideal will come over time.
Okay, sir.
Does that help?
Yes, sir. So that was really helpful.
Okay.
Genuine.
I do stay in touch and let me know if there's anything we can do. But have faith. I think these are also times whenever such things have happened to me, and they have happened to me, by the way. I don't remember being laid off because of a crisis, but I certainly didn't get certain opportunities, or I had to leave because I was forced to of the situation. What I have found is that it actually created some very new and different opportunities for me that I never could think of. So I'm hoping that that will happen for you as well, Tarang.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
All the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tarang. Have faith, as Pramath said, and be strong. And, this is an interesting time for everyone. And, creative solution finding and trying to understand what works for a short period of time perhaps will be the best way for you. And everyone, all of us from Harappa, wish you the very best for whatever it is that your life holds for you in the future. Moving on, we are now going to move on to our next candidate. We have Hemanth Bundy. He has 19 years of work experience, Pramath, and he's worked in the field of sales and business development, and he holds a master's in marketing. Hi, Hemanth.
Hi, Pramath. Hi, Harappa Education. Thank you for giving me an opportunity.
No problem. I believe, Hemanth, you have some questions about where your career can go from this point on. So please.
Sure. I've got close to 2 decades of experience. First 5 years into product selling, and the balance 15 years into conceptual selling, predominantly on the training and the education business side as a consultative selling. I've had a quick question on if I'm looking out for a career transition from where I am currently. And along with that current transition, if I want to shift from a consultative sales to a general management side, if any of the corporates to work with, how can I do that? What's your suggestion, guidance, and on that?
So, where are you working exactly right now? What, if you don't
currently
kind of company?
Yeah. No, currently I have left my organization in the month of March due to some of the reasons, and I am looking out for an opportunity. Yes.
And Hemanth, you said you've done product marketing.
I've done masters in marketing management. Out of my 19 years of experience, first 5 years I have been selling products, and last 15 years into concept selling, predominantly into training and education business.
I see. So you've been doing a lot of sales.
Yes.
Okay. I think the question you're asking is a question that a lot of people in your age group, you must be hitting the 40s, and have, because they want to move from the sort of functional area into the more general area, right?
Yes.
I think the only ways to do that are to, and also because you're in transition in terms of jobs. So what happen is, there are only two possibilities, right? One is that you look for a smaller company that is willing to take a bet on you as a general manager, given your seniority and your experience, right? Somebody will have to take a bet on you because they will say, "Oh, ye to sales ka banda hai. Why would I hire him in a general management role?" So I think you should apply for general management roles. You will have a little bit of a challenge convincing people that you are capable of making the shift. But don't be afraid to make that claim. So you'll have to think through a little bit what your story is to convince people, right? And it's not just you, but anybody. Somebody who's worked in finance all their life, somebody who's worked in marketing all their life will have the same problem. So you are not the only one facing this problem. Lots of people face this problem. So the first thing is to apply for those jobs and try to convince them. And you may think about what is your story. You can talk about the fact that even though you've been doing sales, concept selling allows you to take a much broader view of business. You can make the point that, you manage lots of people, and then general management is really about people management, and so on and so forth. So I think that you have to think through what story you will use to convince people that you have the potential to be a general manager and they can take a bet on you. And in that situation, you may have to be prepared to go to a company that is smaller, where you can be a bigger frog in a smaller pond, and make that happen, especially because you're looking for a job. The other alternative, and this alternative would have been true even where you were working before, is that you have to internally first prove yourself as a functional head. So I would then, in the next job, look for a sales job, but then approach it with a mindset of saying, how can I over time there move from a functional to a sales role, from a sales role to a general role. There, what I've seen work really nicely is, see, firstly, people don't even express to their organizations that they are interested. Okay. Absolutely. So often when I ask people, and I'll ask you also that, when you were in the last organization, did you ever tell senior management that, listen, I would like to transition into a general management role? If you did, that's great. But most times people don't ask.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
a matter of expressing, right? Mm-hmm. The second is that I have talked to a lot of people who have made this transition successfully. Mm-hmm. And what a key is in making that transition is that in any organization, there's lots going on. Okay. There are some things that nobody wants to do because there's some trouble, nobody wants to touch it. Correct. And the people who made really successful shifts from functional roles to general management roles volunteered for those roles. They said, "ठीक है, कोई नहीं करेगा, मैं करने को तैयार हूं." And that wins you lots of brownie. And now you're taking some risk, right? Because the reason that is not working is that other people have tried in the past and they have not been able to get it to work. But equally, the stories I've heard are often of people taking up a new position, so you take on an additional role. So the deal is, I'm not saying कि मुझे यहाँ से आप हटा दो, because people will say, "Arey, you are responsible for sales for the northern region. If you go and do this, I'm going to lose you." So you have to say, no, I'm not saying I'm going to give up my responsibility. I will continue to do my current job. In addition, I'm going to take on this troublesome, and I will show you this troublesome project, and I will show you that I can do it, that I'm capable of general management. And once you see my capability, then the world becomes your oyster, in the sense that people say, "Wow, Hemanth can really do this." So I've seen this for people who have moved from HR to general management. I've seen this for people who moved from finance to general management. I've seen this with people who moved from marketing to general management. Everyone, I think, has done this kind of stuff. The last thing I will tell you is that some people can never be good general managers. They love what they do. So don't lose sight of that also. Don't do it just because everybody is going to do it. You may be a fantastic sales guy, and you know what? Fantastic sales guys are always going to be in big demand.
Thank you very much, Pramath. Pertaining to the same last point you said, I have a question which I will put in the forum of question and answer.
Quickly say it, and I'll try to cheat with Suha and get the answer in.
Okay, well, whenever I go, because I'm coming last for more than a decade on the training and education side of business, I get an opportunity if I'm getting also only from the same side of industry. But if I want to change it to the BFSI or any other sector.
Same thing as the first thing I said. Settle for a smaller BFSI company.
Okay.
वो same level पे आपको नहीं मिलेगा ना, because why would they hire?
Yeah.
थोड़ा सा compromise उसमें करना पड़ेगा, but then that will propel you. That will allow you to make the shift.
Okay. Thank you, Pramath.
Yeah. Think about maybe another online MBA or something.
Sure. Thank you, Pramath.
Yeah.
We shall be in touch. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hemanth. Yeah. We hope that this has helped shed some light on your wish for making a transition. And for those like Hemanth, Tarang, and many of us who are obviously now being hit with a whole lot of change in this world, we urge you to try our Embracing Change course. It's free, and you can sign up for it. And for anything else that you may want to know about either the course or our webinar series, please reach out to us at habitar@harappa.education. You will find the link to enrolling to this course on the chat box here. Okay, so moving on, let's move on to our third candidate for this afternoon, Pramath.
Sure.
And we have Simrit. Simrit has 7 years total of work experience, and she has worked in the field of textile design and also worked in the development sector. She holds an MA in Society and Culture. And hi, Simrit.
Hi, Suha.
Hi. So you have some questions, right, for Pramath? So why don't you take over?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Pramath. I'll quickly jump into my question. I've done my UG in textile design from NIFT, Hyderabad. I graduated in 2010. Then I worked for 7 years in varied fields: garment manufacturing, advertising, learning and development. I took on the responsibilities of auditor, copywriter, community manager. So the first 3 years was all about me being in textile design manufacturing, and the other 4 years was me experimenting a lot. And because of this experimentation, I have to mention that I actively took a lot of pay cuts as well. And this is a vital part of my question also. After that, I undertook a research intensive master's in Society and Culture from IIT Gandhinagar, from which I will graduate in another 2 months. Would you please give me some insights on how I may go about getting a role in the development sector? The sector is new to me. As far as designations go, it's new to me. A role that not only utilizes my skills from prior experience, but also puts me in maybe early mid-level. I remember from last week's webinar, I remember you very clearly said, hey, look, people are not going to look at you except as a fresher. I'm mindful of that, but maybe I'm thinking maybe early level, a early mid-level role. Something that, but also puts me there as far as work as well as remuneration is concerned. Yeah, that's my question.
Right. Thanks, Simrit. It's great to meet you. I believe you took off one of our Harappa courses as well at IIT Gandhinagar.
I did. It was amazing. I love it.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Simrit, firstly, given what you are doing and given your rich experience so far, I would not apply some of the logic I have been giving other people about having to compromise or go down a level or so. Because in the social sector, in the development sector, they need people like you. They need people with varied and rich experience, and not enough people with experience or with your kind of experience and qualifications want to make the move. And part of it is because a lot of the social sector organizations have people who have been working in the sector right from the beginning, but they also now recognize that they need some diverse people with diverse experiences, mindsets, attitudes, who have seen organizations scale up or deal with opportunities and challenges in a very different way.
Right.
So I would say that 2 things might be going on this year. One is that development sector will also be hit. Because they are all worried, they are all getting grants and philanthropic funds and so on.
Right.
So they will get hit, and particularly the ones who are in charge of culture and society and so on. But having said that, if there are opportunities, and where there are opportunities, I don't think you should compromise on your level, because when there are opportunities, I think people will very much value your experience, and you don't need to undersell that. Now, yeah, I mean, that's all I would say. Then I would say that I think in your field, you should target places very clearly. Now, I'm not an expert in this area, but for example, I don't know, I would imagine that Intac in Delhi is one place that somebody like you should be, right? I don't know.
Okay. Sure.
Some of these museums are getting revived in very big ways. I don't know if you know, but the NGMA in Delhi, the National Gallery of Modern Art, has been completely renovated. and they are doing a retrospective on Upendra Maharathi, who was a big textile guy. He's from, I know this because I'm from Patna, and apparently it's the largest ever retrospective of an artist in the world. And when I went there and I saw the effort that had gone into creating that whole exhibition. So I think in the government sector also, I don't know if you are interested in the whole exhibition and museum space, but there's a lot happening.
Okay.
I think there's a lot happening in these sort of music and cultural events. The Jaipur Lit Fest has become huge. You know, the Rekha event in Delhi. I'm sorry to give you Delhi-centric examples.
No, that I understand.
My point is that you need to be very laser-like in saying where does your expertise in sort of from fashion all the way to a master's in society and culture, you said, right?
Yes.
How does it all come together, and where all is there a nice fit? Now, it may sound like you would want to do that for any job or any role, but in your case, you've invested in this master's because you want to work in that sector, right? You may not want to go and work in a educational technology firm like Hemanth works, right? You do want to go and work in that sector. So I think being very focused in identifying those people, writing to them, reaching out to them, using connections and friends to have a chat with them. I think that is the best way to approach this, is my guess. And if you can wait it out a little bit, because this is a tough period, then I'd wait a little bit for the right opportunity. And here there are many opportunities to volunteer as well, right? I mean, don't see it as a come down or don't see it as a compromise, but just see it as a way to bide your time.
All right. Okay,
in fact, in this sector, a lot of people start as interns and that converts into a permanent job, you know. The corporate sector has less of that, but the informal, I mean, the social sector has a lot of that happening, where people say, chalo, why don't you come and I'll check you out, you check us out also, spend 3 months, work on this project. Yeah, so that's the other last thing I will say just strikes me, is that maybe you should look for projects also.
Sorry, yeah, voice broke. Could you repeat that?
Look for projects.
Oh, okay.
If not organizations. A lot of funding is now becoming available for COVID-related research projects.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, this helps. Thank you very much.
Okay, Simrit. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
Change course. If you've taken speaking effectively and you liked it, you like the embracing change course. It gets good rating.
Yeah, I'm just like writing my thesis out, so
when you're done.
When
you're done. Yeah, it's free, so you don't have to pay also.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Bye, Simrit.
All right. Thank you, Simrit. Good luck. And yes, Simrit was a Harappa learner, and it always gives us so much pleasure and so much excitement to see one of those cohort members whom we usually see as a little group of names on the screen. But it's great to meet you, Simrit, and we really hope that this interaction has helped you figure out a plan for your future. Pramath, if we could just take a break for a second. You know, what are the and I want to ask you this because it's not just these sessions, but you also do a lot of guiding and mentoring for a lot of other young professionals outside of Harappa. What are the maybe 2 or 3 main themes that you think are emerging about this whole career-related dilemma in a COVID-stricken world?
So the first theme is obviously this sense of very strong sense of disruption, right? You have a job offer and it gets pulled back. You have a job and you get laid off. You don't have a job and you're going to be looking and you see this happening and you're like, okay, where am I going to end up? So this is a very important theme that obviously is emerging. And I think like as a company, we have to worry about how long do I have money to last, right? I'm sorry to say, but it's also going to come down a little bit to us as individuals, that how can we best safeguard our existence Can we go back home to our parents? Do I have reliance on some savings? Can I stay with a friend? How can I make sure that I extend my runway, so to speak, give myself as much time as possible to find a job?
Right, right.
You will get a job. Most people who come on platforms like this are very well educated. The world is not going to collapse so much that people who are educated and who have a great, who have had good education and who are driven are not going to get a job. It's just a matter of when. And so you have to kind of create that runway for yourself. So I think that is the central theme that I would say. And, unfortunately, this is not related to your experience and what you want to do and your knowledge and what is available out there. But to me, it's the most practical advice, which is kind of a little bit hard hitting and a little bit transactional and somewhat crass, because I'm talking about money. But you know what? It's a very practical thing to worry about. And I think that's the anxiety that causes everybody. So let's get around that anxiety by solving for it. Right? What is my realistic runway? Right? I think the second theme is really to be very proactive at a time like this. Not be shy. Because people are not expecting you to be shy. Everybody knows and empathizes that this is a very tough time and that you are in a tough spot. And so reach out. Don't be shy. And most of us are a little bit shy, a little bit awkward. Don't want to call that friend. Don't want to call that uncle. I'll get it on my own. This is not time for bravado. And nor are we begging, right? It's just
absolutely
a time when everybody wants to help, just as we are trying to applaud our caregivers, we also want to support people who've lost jobs or are looking for jobs. So I think in times like this, people will help you. People will listen to you. People will try to help out because they can empathize with what's going on. Especially the ones who are lucky enough to not be in your predicament are feeling a little bit charitable, if that's the way to characterize it.
Right.
Last thing I'll say is that it's also a learning opportunity, right? I think if you say, listen, if I have to start from scratch, and if I've really got my back to the wall, then might as well do something and take some risks and do something that is fun. I mean, that's what I was trying to tell Tarang also, right? That if you can have a little bit of a runway, then go ahead and do something that is a little bit of a risk. You change your life.
Sure, take a risk and change your life, and no other way, no better way than to, keep looking forward and keeping your faith. Pramath, we'll move on to our next candidate now.
Yeah.
Can we have their interest live, please? Thank you. We have another Harappa learner joining us today. She is Mahima Gupta, and she's worked for 7 years, and she too has an interesting sort of, she's had a dual, I think, work experience. She's worked in the power industry, and she's also worked in her family's furniture business. And she currently is a MBA student at SPGI MR. Mahima,
Yep.
hi.
Yeah, hi, Pramath, hi, Suha. Thank you, team,
Hi.
for having me and giving me this chance.
Not at all. Go ahead with your.
Yeah. So, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So first is more of a generic question. So currently we are pursuing our PGPM from SPGMR, and we moved to the online mode as the other institutes did. So generally SPGMR starts the recruitment in around October, November, and we generally get placed in December, January. When the course typically ends. So what should students like me who are currently pursuing their MBA expect from the potential recruiters in future in the context of COVID? I'm sure the same kind of companies, the same kind of roles might not be available. So what should we expect as students?
So just to be clear, you are going to graduate at the end of this year, right? It's
yes, sir.
the 1 calendar year program. It follows the calendar year, right?
Yes, it's a 15-month course, and from October till December.
Right. So listen, Mahima, I think it's hard to predict how the world will turn out. But if I had to guess and go by what happens in the past and the kind of concerns we see people expressing, there will be some industries and some companies that will just stop hiring, or they will defer hiring for some time. There will be other companies and other industries who will actually really make a big aggressive push in an environment like this because they see new types of opportunities. To give you an example, a lot of what is happening in the education technology space, which we are in, seems everything is at a standstill right now, but the long-term future of that seems very real, given how much online learning and how many webinars and how much of stuff is going online at all levels, whether it is from school all the way up to corporate learning. So that's an industry which I think will continue to look for people. I think e-commerce companies, I think healthcare companies, anything to do with technology where services are being delivered remotely, online, will do well. My suggestion would be specifically for someone like you, since you are in a business program, and this is a full-time program, right?
Yeah.
I would go the extra mile to start building a picture in your head and categorize companies and industries at 3 levels to say, which are the ones that are red, which are the ones that are orange, and which are the ones that are green. Don't depend on other people's views. Don't depend on your careers office. Take charge of this for yourself. You are smart enough to choose to go to SPJMR for an MBA. You're going through a good program. You should be able to build that assessment yourself. Most of us don't do that, right? Because you kind of think that something will happen. You're at a good MBA program, jobs to mil hi jayega, placement to ho hi jayega. I would say that be smart about it and do the analysis. And you have literally, we are in May, you have 6 months. Over this 6 months, study things very carefully. Read, listen, watch. Watching TV anchors and news shows, or reading about COVID, read about what's happening to industries, which people are doing well, right? Who have done well in the lockdown, and see if you can align yourself into those areas. You already have a rich background. You've done power, you've done furniture, so you've shown versatility, right?
Coming to my second question was. You almost answered, you started, so I'm just putting the question across. So I come from a corporate experience, which was with L&T in the power vertical, and then I moved to my family business, sort of their expansion strategy, and development of the whole plant, which we were taking from, the traditional furniture manufacturing setup to how everything is going to happen the next. So 3-4 years I was there, and then I decided to go for the MBA. So will potential recruiters, how are they going to see this experience, and how should I be showcasing them this experience of mine? Basically what kind of skill sets would they be expecting from me? So say if I don't have anything, what should I focus on developing? Or if I don't have that, I should focus on gaining, since I have these 6 months at my disposal.
I think what you can do is, you can't do too much about adding the hard skills that you picked up from what you've done before. I think it's more a matter of collating these skills in your head, right? I like to think in 3. So I would say, what are the 3 big strengths that you will bring, right? Take it out of your head that you are working in a family business and that it's somehow a detraction in any way, right? I think that I would really step back and see, from all these 7 years that you've had so far, what are the places where you really thrive? Are you a great problem solver? Are you a designer or planner? Are you great with people? So I would pull out some of those strengths and really try to highlight that, right? Some of the evergreen strengths and skills that people look for are actually embodied in our Harappa framework, right? So in SPJMR or in access to whatever else you have, if you can see, if you had to deliver 3 big themes for Mahima's leadership, what would they be today, right? And then I would reinforce those in the time that you have rather than trying to fill gaps.
Okay.
So suppose karo ke, you think you have a great analytical mind. Then what I would do is I would reinforce, how can you be better at analysis? And, so for example, the Harappa think habit is all about making people analyze better. If you think you are a great problem solver, most people who work in family businesses, if you help with actually setting up projects or doing things, you must have been solving lots of problems, helping your family. So you're a great problem solver. Now, so I would reinforce my skills in problem solving. And of course, I'm going to relate everything to Harappa because that's my strong belief. But, our problem solving skills exactly does that. How do you define a problem? How do you structure a problem? Now, some of this, but if you could formalize it through the experience at SPJIMR or reading or learning something more. So that's what I would do. I would pick 3 areas, 3 areas where you think you are really good. And then strengthen that even more so that when you go to these opportunities, you can reel off these 3 areas like that. And I cannot believe that there are going to be tech companies or some of the aggressive startups and so on who are not going to look for people like you. I often like people who come from a family business background because, the entrepreneurship and the ownership and the ability to work on anything, not to be sitting in an air-conditioned office only. Your parents or your family made you, hardened you up, right? And made you do the grunt job as well, right? So I think that's how I would think about it. I hope that was helpful.
Oh, it was actually very crisp and to the point. And actually, I'd like to add one point when Suha asked me, to put the questions for you. We are currently doing the course where we are deciding how to frame the right questions, and that came to my mind. Oh my God, okay, I have to frame the right questions because they're teaching me, and if I don't do that, it's going to.
Very good. You did a great job. Your questions were great.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pramath and Suha and team. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mahima, for joining us today, and good luck for your future. Pramath, we are now going to move into our audience Q&A segment. I want to request everybody here in our audience who's joining us this afternoon to please send in your questions on the chat box and our Q&A box, and we're going to try and address them. Pramath is going to try and address them if time permits. So Pramath, the first question that we have today is from Shahzareen Khan. And she says that it's been 2 years for me at the current role, and I'm looking for new job opportunities, but all my current interviews are halted. What to do now? And I think this is a dilemma, is a problem that a lot of people are facing. So what would you have to say about this?
My first thing is, without knowing too much the context, stick around. Don't be in a hurry to leave. This is a little bit, I'll give you an example. We had hired somebody at Harappa who were very interested in working with us, and we would be happy to take them. They are in a very secure job. They are earning well. That job is not going to go away. What they're doing is not going to go away. So I actually called them and I said, listen, we are not going away anywhere, but we are a startup. It's a little bit of a big risk. Why are you taking this? You have to make a big move. 3 months ago, I was very confident that, we need her, let's get her, it'll be great. I actually told her to stay put where she is. And I told her, let's wait 6 months, 9 months, whatever. What's the hurry? Stick around. So I forgot the name. Zareen, you said?
Shahzareen.
Shahzareen.
Yeah.
I would say to Shahzareen that if you don't have to leave or you are not in a situation where you hate your job or you hate your company, please stay put.
She actually has a second part to the question. Oh. She says that she also has a few master's offers, but she's and I think they're from universities in the UK and Europe, and she's a little nervous about going for online classes. And she's also asking about potential employment opportunities for international students in Europe and the UK.
No, so the international opportunities in Europe and UK are going to be, and US are going to be hit in the near term. So I would not rely on that. Yeah. You should not delay your education for any reason, but if your education requires you to work there, where you need to earn the money, or that's why you're making the move, then I would caution against doing that right now, especially because you do have an alternative where you can continue to work where you are. So if you have, and I've given different pieces of advice to different people. Shuha, you and I talked, right? And Shuha is going for an education program abroad, and I encouraged her to go. Several people in our company have offers abroad, and they are also worried about having to do stuff online, and even especially if it's a one-year master's, how do you deal with it? I don't worry too much about the online bit of it. At the end of the day, I think every university is making a huge effort to make sure that the online experience is also as good, if not better, than what they. So you may get much more this year than you would have otherwise got, because right. People are overcompensating. So I wouldn't worry too much about the online piece, and that will open up in 3-6 months. The world can't completely shut down. So all of these opportunities will open up. But if you're going there is predicated by the fact that you need a job to pay back a loan or to earn some money or whatever, then I would say that you'd be better off seeing how things shake out. And especially if you have something here which is not torturing you and is tolerable, then I would stick it out. That would be my advice.
Right. Okay, we have a question from Vibhuti Agarwal, who also had expressed some interest in, doing a face-to-face interaction, but she sent in her question here, Pramath. And she's a Gandhi Fellow, and she has approximately 7 to 9 years of experience in the education sector. And she's worked with small startups in implementation, execution, people management. And she's currently pursuing a program at XLRI. She also was laid off from her company and is now interested in working in core HR. So her question is, what roles can she look for that appreciate the experience, the diverse experience that she's had, and also give her a learning experience?
So she was a Gandhi Fellow, and then she did the HR degree at Excel.
Yes, PGC HRM, yes.
But I thought you said that she was at Excel and she was, so is she at and was she
currently pursuing it?
Oh, but she's also saying that she's laid off. So I was confused.
From a company after 1.8 years, that's what she's saying.
Okay.
But I think, this was before the program.
Okay. Listen, HR roles are going to be there, right? So I think that is not going to be an issue.
Sorry, Pramath, I just want to interrupt you for a second, but Vibhuti, if you want to come on audio, then we can do that as well. Would you like to come to, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Great. So can we please migrate her?
Hello.
Okay, hi Vibhuti. Why don't you ask?
Hi, Soha. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh, no worries.
So,
go ahead.
So Pramath, as you already know, I was a part of the founding batch of the lecture series and attending one of your sessions, and I've been a Gandhi Fellow as well, and from around 8 years have experience in education in multiple areas. Currently, because of my journey, I realized that I am good with people and want to skill more into it. So that's why I enrolled up into a blended course, which is a post-graduation in HRM from Accelera. It's a 1-year course for working professionals. And I was laid off from my company after 1.8 years of the thing. And it was also a edtech small startup. Currently, my question to you is that at these times, the job searching becomes very difficult, and corporates, what industries, how do I approach this? That whether should I go with startups, should I go reach out to corporates? Because the diverse experience that I had, it is very difficult that who will embrace that experience and give me a learning experience.
No, the diversity is not, you shouldn't think of the diversity as a drawback in any way, Vibhuti. I think you have a rich experience. The Excel degree helps. I would go back to, I mean, again, this is not the time to actually make a choice between startups or established. I would just try everything. And I know that it might sound like I'm giving a cop-out answer and that, I'm not helping you make a choice. But I would really say that, hey, if you've had startup experience, don't give up on startups. Some startups that are well-funded are going to survive this time. And then they are going to do quite well coming out of this, because, there's going to be a reset, and all these startups are the ones that survive will be that much stronger coming out of this situation. So I think if you've seen the startup experience, and you've seen even though that startup did not last, my suggestion would be to continue to look at startups. But yes, I think you have enough experience and enough background to look for jobs in the corporate. See, HR jobs will generally be there, I think. And, there may be a small delay in HR jobs, but I think you will find HR jobs, because that's a field where there's always shortage. There have always been shortage of good HR people. At least that's my experience. IT and HR and finance, these functional roles have always had a much greater demand than there's been supply. So I would try to not hold yourself back and actually try and look quite aggressively. See, right now, things are at a pause. Everything is at a pause.
Yes, yes.
So next 60, 90 days are going to be difficult, but don't see that as the indicator of what's coming after that. I would just keep trying and keep applying as many places as you can and putting your best foot forward and not give up right now. And these are not just platitudes, or I'm not trying to just motivate you. I genuinely believe that in the HR field, the jobs will be there, or if they are on a pause right now, they will remain.
Thank you, Pramath. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Soha.
Thank you, Vibhuti. Thank you for joining. And Pramath, actually, what we're doing now is, I think it's quicker and easier if we ask our audience people to switch on their mics quickly and ask you their questions directly. So yeah. Next we have Sheikh Tausif.
Hi, Suha, can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you, Sheikh.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Sheikh Tausif. My question to Pramath sir is, and before I ask this question, I happened to take the Harappa leadership training session in my previous company, and I should say it is fantastic. Just mind blowing, because this session was conducted to more than 20 odd managers in my previous company. So that's just a brief feedback about the session, Harappa training. And
Thank
you. So the question to you, sir, is I have about 12 years of experience across multiple organizations like Cognizant, Wipro, and few other firms, Bank of New York. And just a couple of months back, with all this COVID thing happening, I decided to quit to take care of my dad's business. With all this digital transformation happening, I thought there's an opportunity here, and I wanted to be a full-time, taking care of his venture. My thing is, like, let's say I decide to go back to doing a job after, say, a couple of years. Will this break hurt my, experience that I already hold, or is it going to be a new norm for the companies to hire people with any breaks and things like that?
Sheikh, I wouldn't worry about the break. I will only worry about the fact that in this break, and because it's your father's business, make sure that you focus on certain goals and certain impact and deliver on it. Because people will want to evaluate you on the quality of the work that you did, even if it was a family business or if you were working somewhere else. The fear is that family business mein log kuch karenge nahi, right? that they are kind of sitting around and lording over their employees and they are the Malik. And often that is not true, right? Because you're working as hard and harder than anybody else is working. So, but equally just saying that, oh, I was working hard doesn't help. So if you're able to say that, listen, by going to my father's business, I took it from X and made it 5X. I was able to start a new line of business. I was able to expand geographically. I was able to create a new product. So I think making sure that whatever you are doing is not just you came and you became another employee, another promoter, and you are doing more of the same. And even if you're working harder, doing more of the same better is not good enough. You know, what are the 2 or 3 things that you did that make a fundamental difference? Otherwise, it was your father's business. What did you do?
Yeah.
People are going to challenge you on your contribution. They are going to challenge you on your impact. They're going to challenge you on results. They're going to challenge you on what did you achieve? What did you make a difference on? And that you have to be very clear. If you are not doing that for any reason, then your time will get wasted.
Absolutely. Just one more question, sir. Like, I'm just worried about the pre-notion that some of these organizations have when they look at somebody who has a has a business, right? So is this person going to be working for us, or So
I think you can't do anything about that. You know, the world thinks of you in a certain way. You know, I came out as an academic when I came into the world of business, and people always used to say, "Ki yaar, ye corporate mein kaise kaam kare?" Right? So I would say that don't worry about things that you cannot control. Focus on what you can control. Those people who you can't do anything about the fact that you are working in a family business. You can't change that mindset.
Yeah.
That's a mindset. But for the people who don't have that mindset, where if you want to give yourself a shot, you need to make sure that you have very clear deliverables in what you're doing. I'm sorry, but we are out of time. But it was good talking to you, Sheikh, and keep the faith. I'm glad that you are taking the plunge to help your father's business.
Thank you, Pramath. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheikh. We have time for one last question. And do we have Richa Mayank still with us on this call? If we can just quickly.
Why don't we take another question quickly?
Then yes, Richa has joined. Hello. Hi, Richa.
Hi, Suha. Hi, Pramath. My question is that why do HR people, like I was thinking to proceed as an HR after my MBA. The previous question which was asked by me about that UK student, you had answered that question. So it was my question, and I want to know that if I proceed as an HR in my future career, how will that be? Like, will it be good, or why do people who are in finance and sales grow more in career rather than HR?
I feel that I'm sorry, I'm not getting your question completely, and I don't know what I answered. I hope I'm not now contradicting myself. But if your question is you feel that people in finance and marketing go further than people in HR, well, I don't know how to answer that. Is it really true? I know many HR people who've done extremely well and have gone on to general business functions. I know at least 2 who are CEOs, 3 who are CEOs. So I would say that maybe you're looking, don't care about relative numbers, right? I do know that there are people from HR who do become business managers, general managers, CEOs even. And if that is possible, then you should target that, rather than worrying about whether your chances are good or not relative to being in finance or sales, right? You're not going to be in finance or sales. You are in HR, right? That's a given. Now, there are people who are going on to do that, right? So if you look at Santrup Mishra at the Aditya Birla Group, if you look at the CEO of Western Digital in India, I'm just blanking out on her name, and if she's listening, she'll be very furious. But my point is there are examples of people who've come from a pure HR function and have gone on to be CEOs. I think that's what you should care about, that it is possible. And if it is possible, it's possible for you.
Okay, so like if I see to have my career in HR, as I have 3 years of career in IT as a
Sorry,
software
I
engineer.
have to interrupt you. Maybe we can wrap up this question here. We're running out of time.
Yeah, we'll catch up maybe on the next call. Just dial in or contact Shuha, and maybe we can get you on to ask this question again. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Richa. Thank you all so much for your questions. Pramath, thank you for taking out time on yet another Sunday afternoon to address all these career-related worries and concerns. Just before we move on, we just want to tell everyone about our virtual internship program. Pramath, do you want to share the details with everyone here?
Yeah, please encourage people you know who are looking for a summer internship this summer, because we have a very unique program where if you couldn't do a face-to-face or actual summer internship with a company, we have a program where you do some Harappa courses, and then alongside that you get to work on a project. Anybody can apply, so I think Vibhuti is asking, and yeah, it should be fun. But obviously, for people who've already worked and so on, some of the opportunities may not be as exciting, but then we have some very exciting opportunities also within Harappa and with other companies. So please check it out.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Just before we sign off, I want to remind everyone again about our Embracing Change course, which is free, which is open for all of you to sign up. Please check it out. You will find the link to enrolling here on the chat box. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we will be back again next week. And if you want to ask your questions, if you want to register to be on the show, please make sure that you follow our Harappa Education handles on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And for any specific questions about this current session or any upcoming sessions, please write to us on habithour@harappa.education. Thank you so much. Pramath, thank you. We're signing off. Take care, everyone. See you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.